Hey everyone, welcome to Lifeaneur's next podcast where we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, the number one form of leverage in today's society that I think is actually falling off the Richter scale or evolving in a different way. If you're a baby boomer or a Gen X, right, somebody in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you're probably going to think that the millennials and the Gen Zs are falling off, right? But really, their mental capacity is evolving, in my opinion, right? And so this one is called your most powerful form of leverage is your mind, right? And I want to give you so many facts and so many consistent things to be aware of in your brain, in your mind, and how you process information and how really powerful your brain actually is. Do you know that we live in 2019 and a computer still does not have the capacity to be able to download the data from a brain to a hard drive? It does not have the space. It doesn't have the room to be able to do that. They're hoping by 2022, 2023 that they will have enough terabyte space to import all of the stuff that is in your brain. Now, I know that seems insane because a terabyte of information on a conscious level, it could be like, 100,000 documents is a terabyte, right? About 85 movies is a terabyte. About 10,000 songs is about a terabyte of data. And I don't know about you, but I don't know 10,000 songs by heart. I don't know the last 85 movies and all the actors and all the words by heart. And I definitely don't know 100,000 documents by heart, right? But the brain is so far reached. I think they said it was going to be like 500 terabytes is what it's going to take to download a brain, right? And so I want to talk to you about your mental capacity, about how your brain is broken up, and how you can realize that either you are going to leverage your strongest form, a pillar, if you will, or you're not. It's either going to help you or it's going to hurt you, right? And so I really broke this down for you in many of different ways, right? To be able to get your capacity to where it needs to be. Me and Mr. Production and my assistant, we've been over here talking for, 20 minutes before we got started. And, passions grew and attention graphs and knowledge was given in detail based on something that is very, very important for you to have to be able to have the mental capacity to accomplish something that you want to accomplish. And that is called interest. Right? You have to have an interest in something that you're talking about. How many people have an interest in being an accountant? Do you think accounting is going down in interest or going up in interest in the millennials and the Gen Zs? Right? It's going down dramatically. Accounting was the best job in the world to have for security, right? And so interest comes from things that you wouldn't normally predict, right? Things that catch your eye. We were talking and I said, hey, how many people can you tell me who are 29 years or younger that don't like games, that don't play games today in this day and age? Gaming is by far going to be the biggest industry in the world. And the only thing it's not bigger than right now at this very moment is soccer, right? The second industry that is now blowing up ginormously, bigger than its final competitor, is online sales. Online sales have finally outdone retail sales. It's predicted over the next 3 years that 900 million square feet of warehouse space will become available to purchase or lease because of all of the retail businesses that did not focus on making a powerful presentation online are going out of business. Toys R Us, Circuit City, Barnes & Noble, right? All of these different platforms are going direct to consumers. The millennial generation that grew up in the internet buys 85% of their stuff on Amazon or at least on a website, okay? And so being able to understand the mental capacity of not only who you are and what your interest is, but your customer or your competitor and how they're procuring customers and all of these different things. It all comes down to an interest. What the hell are you interested in? What is your interest? Right? Because you're not going to put mental capacity, you're not going to put any acumen at all in anything you don't have an interest in. If you don't have an interest in what I'm saying, you're not going to listen to the words that come out of my damn mouth. It's just not going to happen, right? And with well said, I'm not trying to appease everybody. I'm trying to appease people that have like-minded interests in what I'm saying and what I'm doing. That's it. And so when I break down interests, I always say, dude, follow your interests. If you're interested in gaming, then find a way to make money in gaming. If you are interested in athletics, then find a way to make money in athletics, right? I have an obsession in business and strategy and, war strategy, if you will. I've studied, American historical, war, World War I, World War II, the Civil War, and break down strategy. And the first thing in war that we do to try to win the war as fast as possible is we try to disrupt or at least destroy the other country's communication. That's the number one thing that we do, is we try to get you to be on different pages. We try to confuse you. We try to bait and switch you. In the Civil War, when we actually went to war with England, right, when the U.S. was just more colonies, right, 13 colonies, and not the U.S., we created what was called the militia, right? And the militia's number one job when Britain came here was to disrupt Britain's communication and to rewrite their words. Because do they have cell phones? Do they have internet? Right? No. They had guys on horses with notes that would go and relay messages. And the militia would take those messages and rewrite them and actually have a militia representative or soldier would actually dress in those Britain's gear and actually go hand that message over to a general that was the wrong. And sometimes they got caught. Most of the time they didn't. And the militia would cause these guys to go into the wrong area and get ambushed by 7,000 militia. They would destroy 2,000 soldiers. Then on a field in normal combat, these 2,000 soldiers would crush you. But the militia were considered, quote unquote, not honorable because they would hide behind rocks. They wouldn't sit there and look at you and get shot in the face, right? And then in, 1808 or whatever, right? When England again declared war on the U.S. and they met us on the field, and we've evolved so much, we destroyed their whole army in 5 minutes. And then the Native Americans that they got on their side got destroyed in a couple hours after that in the jungle. Because they actually went and tried to do what the U.S. adopted from the Native Americans, which is the militia stuff. Now also considered special forces today, right? We try to go in there, disrupt communication. We go in there now and disrupt all kinds of different things on there. And I have a huge interest in that. So I learned all about this stuff because of an interest, right? Now, the U.S. is so good at disrupting people's communication. If we went to war against somebody, we can disrupt your communication with a push of a button. Boom. Why? Because now we have the internet, and we've been able to put all these different things in different devices and different stuff, that now we have these computer geniuses, these 21-year-olds, the millennials, that can type 100 words a minute, and they speak 5 different languages, and they only speak English, but they speak code. They speak Ruby on Rails. They speak JavaScript. They speak PHP, right? And they're able to go in there and figure out how to turn off the communication. What's your communication? Communication is your cell phone. Communication is your email. Communication is your social media. Communication is your internet is your communication, right? Your phone lines are your communication, right? So it's actually easier now to turn off your communication, right? So that's an interest of me. So I study it, as you can tell, it's an interest of mine, right? And so I also want to go over your mental acumen because there's actually 3 zones in your brain on how you operate to be able to dissect some things that you're interested in, some things you're not. Doctors have to go to school for 10 years, and they technically only learn about 6% of the stuff they need to learn, which is why they have to be interns for 4 years after they graduate college before they can actually wear the MD logo in a hospital. Because they have to do 4 years of on-the-job training to get it. Now, can somebody do that who's not really passionate about it? They can, but it's going to suck a lot more than the guy who's obsessed with learning more about this and problem solving on the human level in what they're doing, right? And the reason why I'm talking to you about focusing on what you're actually interested in, regardless of any sort of monetary supplement now, is because there is always a way to think outside the box to be able to acquire the knowledge, acquire the resources, acquire the relationships you need to upgrade it to monetary status, right? There's a lot of things that you can do, but you have to be able to get into certain zones mentally outside of your brain. So I'm going to go over these 3 zones. The first zone that most people are considering that they don't even realize that they live in, and actually my job as a consultant was to get you outside of this zone, and typically I would always piss you off because I did a good job and got you outside of this zone. It's called the comfort zone. Right? This is where you sit 90% of your day is in this comfort zone. The work you do, the emails you write, the phone calls you answer, the phone calls you ignore, the text messages you send, the amount of time you spend on social media, the amount of time you spend on the TV and the couch, the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the glasses you have, the hats everything you have is all a part of your comfort zone. Everything is designed to be comfortable. Did you ever notice that being lazy is very easy to do because it fits within the realm of your comfortability, right? And going to the gym, if you haven't gone for a long time and you're not really don't have the mental acumen of going to the gym and what to do, and worse, you feel like you're being judged by other people because you're probably judging other people when you go in there and you're assuming they're judging you, it makes it uncomfortable. So doing things that you don't want to do are considered uncomfortable, and things that you do like to do, which I'm telling you, sitting in front of a TV and binge watching Game of Thrones is very comfortable. I know because I've done it, right? My wife was on like season 6 or whatever before I even watched any episodes at all, and finally told me to watch it, and I binged for like 3 days and just got through all of it and caught up. It was crazy, right? But it was comfortable and easy for me to do. It had my attention. More importantly, it had my interest, right? And so also when you want to know this, there's other zones that your brain will go through that you have to understand. The other zone that you have is actually called the danger zone. If you ever got into a car accident and had $1,000 or $500 payment deductible, and your insurance is about to go up because you got into a car accident, right? That's going to make you very uncomfortable and going to make you very distressed. Cortisol levels in your brain are going to be triggered, and cortisol is going to run through your brain and put you in what's called a fight or flight mentality. I feel everybody should know the way their brain works, right? You can have oxytocin, dopamine, cortisol, right, or adrenaline running through your body at any time. And you have to be able to understand what mental triggers you have in your brain that activate one of these chemicals that your body produces, right? And so the danger zone produces cortisol. If you're in a highly stressed out situation, you're producing tons of cortisol. Cortisol is only designed to make you sure that you're staying alive, or that you either fight or you flight or you run away, right? And so understanding that stuff, right? Have you ever like broke your leg or witnessed something or tragic in front of you, or you owe a bill, or you got a speeding ticket you couldn't pay for, you're in college, you just spent $2,000 on an Apple computer and now you have to find ways to live on ramen noodles for the next 2 months to justify it. All of these things that you do in your mental capacity is justifying it through your comfort zone, and then feeling it in the danger zone, right? And then now the danger zone is somewhere where the average person will start asking people for money that they normally would never ask. They will literally turn over every rock possible, calling the people on their phone that they normally wouldn't call, right? Doing things they normally wouldn't do. Literally, the amount of effort that somebody does to get out of the danger zone is 10 times more than the effort they would do in their comfort zone. Right? I will tell somebody, hey, read these 10 books. And literally, if they read 1 hour a day, they would be done with these books in 2 months. And I talked to this person 10 months later, they still haven't read the first book. Why? Because subconsciously, their comfort zone controls them. That's why. It's easier to follow along with what your subconscious tells you than it does to actually tell your subconscious to shut the hell up and to consciously try to grow your most powerful resource, which is your mind, right? But when you're in college and you have to control your mind, you do this by having a final. So you have a final, right? And the professor gives you a whole month to do this final, and you have to read this book and write this report, and it's got to be these many words, and it can be double spaced or whatever. He gives you all the details. How much work did you do in week 1? Nothing. How much work did you do in week 2? Nothing. Why? Because he gave you too much time to get it done. But if the professor would have said, hey, I want to see 25% of your progress in week 1, 25% of your progress in week 2, 25% of your progress in week 3, and I want the final report done, drafted, completed in week 4, you would have had a lot more cortisol or action to get it done sooner, right? And he said, I'll give you extra credit if you get it all done in the first 2 weeks, right? But they don't do that because college is like life, right? You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And a lot of things are not urgent and important to get done in this very moment. And so I never gave my buddy a deadline. I never said, hey, dude, if you read these books in 2 months, I'll give you $1,000. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just said, dude, these books will help you solve all your problems on all the things that you're saying are hard in business and the problems that you're having in business. These 10 books will help you get the resourcefulness, the mental acumen you need to be able to stop feeling pain, right? There's a guy who said he had a little story. He said that, went to his house and his dog was whining. Wouldn't stop whining at all. And I asked the guy, I was like, dude, why is your dog whining? And he said, he's sitting on a nail. And I was like, what? He's sitting on a nail? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, why didn't he get up? He was like, he's too comfortable to get up. He's too lazy to get up. Right? That's life. That's people. You're sitting on a nail, but you're too comfortable to get up. Right? You're too comfortable to read these 10 books. He was too comfortable in the problems that he was having. He wanted to vent to me. He wanted to moan and bitch and complain to me, but about the problems he was having and the money he was losing, but it wasn't enough pain. It wasn't enough danger zone to get him to wake the hell up and to develop the resources he needed to be able to get himself out of the situation because his bills were paid. his car payment was paid. If he needed gas, it was paid for. If he had an emergency, he was screwed. But as long as he didn't have an emergency, he was fine. And because he didn't have an emergency, he was not going to read the books. Guess what happened? His business went belly up. He got into a big car accident or something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but guess what he started doing when everything went 5 times lower than where he was. His business wasn't losing money. It wasn't even making money now, right? He lost all of his stuff. He got completely demonetized. Guess what he did? He read those 10 books. And guess what those books did for him? Nothing. Because the problems he had at the time weren't painful enough for him to get out of the comfort zone to solve those problems when the problems were small. But now when the problems became ginormous, these books couldn't help him at the new existing problems. He had to start over. And so this comes down to being able to understand that your comfort zone is really another way of your subconscious trying to protect you and keep you safe and keep you happy. That's what your subconscious is designed to do. That's why I wrote a podcast called Subconsciously Self-Sabotaging, right? Where you're actually sabotaging yourself, and your comfort zone is your subconscious best friend. They are allies inside of your brain, right? You will literally have a conversation where you're sitting on a chair and you'll have comfort zone and your subconscious sitting there telling you, come on, Rob, you don't need to go to work today, dude. Put the snooze on. Don't go to the gym. Go eat pizza with the kids, right? Don't eat the salad, dude. I'll be hungry in 30 minutes. Come on, you know I need carbs, right? Or why do a podcast? Just create some crappy content, put it online, put some sponsored ads behind it, but don't really give real value. No one's listening to you. Just be comfortable and binge watch with the wife on Netflix and chill, right? That's literally what the comfort zone, and they have great arguments. They have great argument. Like, dude, and it's so hard to try to tell your comfort zone, nah, be quiet, bro. You don't know what you're talking about, because what they're saying is, dude, they're the best lawyers in the game. They will present the best case ever. They will always present the most concrete evidence to sway you to stay comfortable, to convince you not to read those books, to be able to always talk you out of going to this networking event because it costs this much money, right? Nah, you don't want to spend that money. Come on yourself. You already have $100,000 of college debt, and that didn't work out. Come on, bro. Don't spend that money. Get out of here, right? And so it's constantly a battle. And guess what happens when the danger zone ends up putting a place on that couch, ends up moving comfort zone and subconscious out of the way, and boom, right in the middle of the couch. Guess what happens? You go into a damn panic attack. You start turning over rocks everywhere. You're trying to do everything. I need this money. I got arrested here. I got a DUI there. This lawyer cost $3,000. My child support doubled. I owe the IRS money. All of these things that cause your danger zone to come in and freak you the hell out, right? But there's another zone that never gets a place on the couch ever for 99% of the population. For 99.9 probably of the population. It's crazy. And it's called the game zone, people. But the game zone doesn't happen subconsciously. The game zone doesn't happen in the comfort zone, right? The game zone actually slaps the hell out of your subconscious and slaps the hell out of your comfort zone. Just slaps them right in the mouth. Boom, get off the couch. Boom, get out of the house. The game zone kicks them out and sits down, and the game zone is literally your consciousness, right? The actual you processing information on a conscious level. When's the last time you drove somewhere and knew how many red lights you had between your destinations? Never, because your subconscious is driving you, right? Consciously, you need to wake the hell up. If you want to start making money doing what it is that you have an interest in doing, you need to wake the hell up and live in the game zone. Now, let me just tell you right now, the reason why 99.9% of the people hate the game zone is because it feels identical to the danger zone. It feels identical. It feels the same. Your level of activity is the same. Your level of effort is the same. Your level of problem solving is the same. Your lack of TV watching is high. Your lack of doing all the stuff your comfort zone wants to do is low, right? Everything that you want to do is going to be the opposite of what you're going to do in the game zone. The game zone is somebody who business is struggling. I give them those 10 books, and they read those 10 books. That's game zone shit right there. That's game zone shit, okay? Or when we focus on different things, and we can game plan a strategy. Jared, you do this. Bex, you do this. Rob, you do this. Nevaeh, you do this, right? Alicia, you do this. Gavin, you do that, right? We game zone our stuff, right? The best game zone examples I can give you are athletes, because they're the easiest relatable scenario of what they can do. Now, did you think that Emmitt Smith wanted to train as hard as he trained? Do you think his comfort zone on the couch was convincing Emmitt Smith to go to the gym 3 times a day? Emmitt Smith won the Super Bowl, became MVP of the Super Bowl, and his day off was going to the gym 2 times instead of 3. That was his day off. Okay? Michael Jordan didn't want to get up comfortably and go shoot 1,000 free throws. LeBron James does not want to get up and shoot 1,000 three-pointers and do all this weight training and doing legs. LeBron James is like 5 or 6'9" or 6'10", one of those. Do you have an idea how long his legs are? So freaking long. And do you think that he enjoys leg day? Let me just tell you. I don't enjoy leg day, and my legs are nearly as long as LeBron James's, right? And your game zone stuff needs support. Your game zone needs help. Your game zone, you cannot game zone. You cannot go from 10 years or 15 years or 5 years of being an addict in the comfort zone, of having comfort zone, just habits, and trying to just flip game zone on. You are literally going to have a 5-to-1 battle. Your comfort zone, your subconscious, your good shows, your spouse, food, all of those people are going to be sitting on the couch and telling your game zone to shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about. We don't want to go this route. We don't want to do this. You can't make us do this. We're not doing this, right, Jared? We're not going to do this. We're going to binge watch right here and watch Game of Thrones and order pizza because that's what makes us happy, and that's what we're going to do, right? And the game zone is outnumbered. So if the game zone is outnumbered in your brain, how the hell do you ever activate it? It's called mentorship. It's called coaches. How many coaches does LeBron James have? How many people does he have in the supporting cast when he was going to the pros and now he's in the pros, right? All of these athletes constantly need words of encouragement. They need mentorship. They need guidance. They need someone else's consciousness that's in game zone level to be able to keep them in the game zone, because your voice counts for 5 to 10, depending how credible that individual can hold you. In my goals course that I actually teach people called the Ultimate Achievable Process, I talk about an accountability partner constantly over and over and over and over again, right? You have all the stuff that you want. that you really want in the future. And the reason why you never achieve it, you never write it down, you never actually get it done, is because there's nobody there to support your game zone. There's no one there to support your consciousness. You need that network. You need that support. You need that mentorship, that accountability. But it can only be in somebody that is as important to you as the game zone. But it can't be too important. Let me go into telling you this. It can't be too important. Let me just tell you, for my spouse, my wife, I am not that mentor because I'm too important to her. I'm too emotionally attached to her, right? She doesn't listen to me as much as she listens to her personal trainer. Her personal trainer, Becca, can get her 9 times more effectively in that game zone than I could ever do because I'm the husband, right? Now, I don't moan and complain anymore about this. I used to, but I understand that your spouse cannot be your only link in your support network to be able to back up your game zone against your subconscious, your bad habits, and your comfort zone. And your danger zone is what scares the crap out of the comfort zone in your subconscious to ever go in the game zone because it feels the same. I hope what I'm saying makes sense to you. Because it is not you against you. It is your comfort zone against you. It is your subconscious against you. It's your eating habits against you. It's your habits against you, right? It is your laziness against you. It is the TV against you. It is social media against you. It is your kids against you. It is life and the standards and the unrealistic expectations against you. And the only thing that you have on your side is the game zone. And that dude feels at first just like danger. No wonder nobody wants to go through process, right? And nobody teaches people how to activate the game zone to be able to discipline themselves long enough to enjoy the art of growing your brain, the art of creating leverage, the art of understanding the number one most powerful commodity in your world is your brain. And that this is a computer that in 2019, with the technology we have today, cannot export your brain. If you know more about Snooki than you know about economics, don't get upset when you're 75 and you're still working. If you know more about the Real World MTV show than you know about how to make money, don't get upset when you're 70 still making money. Still need to get a job. I'll see you at Walmart, but online, because Walmart won't be around when you're 70. Hopefully. So, I mean, literally, this is the focus point, the battle that you have to endure. You have to understand this, right? Do you want to know why people suck at money? Because they have no interest in it. Talking about money is frowned upon. Do you know why money became frowned upon to talk about? Because in the 1930s, when they started public education, right? Now, why did public education start? Public education started because people needed to be of certain levels academically to be able to work in these big power plants, like Andrew Carnegie's power plant, right? You had to know some basics. You had to be able to read. You had to be able to write. You had to be able to do basic math. You had to be able to understand the basics to be an operator in these warehouses. So you had these ginormous conglomerate big manufacturing plants that needed tens of thousands of laborers. And what would happen is these towns would see these big manufacturing plants in the steel industry, in the electric industry, and all these different things. General Electric was just taken by Thomas Edison and was now, General Electric, right? We had, Andrew Carnegie reinvent the steel industry and try to be able to mass produce steel on a ginormous scale after he made that bridge, right? And had the elephant go over that bridge, right? And we'll go over that at a different time. So what happened is the schools would teach you that talking about money was bad. because they never wanted anyone to know that the guy you're working right next to you, or the guy that you're actually his boss or whatever, negotiated better than you and was able to make more money. It was frowned upon, right? And the main focus point was to give you enough knowledge to be a good employee, but make you stupid enough to not know the benefits about learning about money. That's the truth. That's where public education came from, right? And the only reason that they even had schools in the first place in these days, like the 1890s all the way up to the 1930s, was so that you were smart enough to get a job at this manufacturing plant. That was the only reason, right? And so they wanted you smart enough and making enough money to buy a house and to put stuff in that house, but never make enough money to master leverage and live free, ever. They wanted you to be in these working conditions like crazy. And those working conditions in the 1890s and the 1900s and the 1910s, right, were so astronomically insane. People were dying. They were working 18 hours a day. They were underpaid and overworked on dramatic scale, right? Rockefeller was part of this. Andrew Carnegie was part of this. Thomas Edison, J.P. Morgan Jr. I mean, you can watch all of it on The Men Who Built America, right? How they took everything and they lived for profit. And that's why Andrew Carnegie died worth, I think when he retired, he was worth $450 billion today. And, John D. Rockefeller was worth over $600 billion in today's money when he died because of when they broke up his monopoly, right? But this obsession is that people didn't want to have an interest in money because they were not taught that money was important to talk about. And so, believe it or not, in the 1930s, your great-great-grandparents were taught that money's bad. And guess what they taught their kids? Your great-great-grandparent. That money is bad. Guess what your great-great-grandparent taught your great-great-grandparent? That money's bad. And guess what your great-grandparent taught your grandparent? And then taught your parents. And then taught you. That money is bad, money is evil, money is no good, that you don't need to learn about money, and that's why schools, what do schools teach you about? Schools teach you about how to balance a checkbook, right? Do we even use checkbooks today? I haven't written a check in forever. We didn't even write a check, right? When's the last time we wrote a check? All my bills are paid online on a credit card, and then I pay one bill a month, which is my credit card. That's all I pay, one bill a month, right? Everything else is on auto pay. I don't have to worry about balancing and everything else, right? All that money I put in one account, all the rest of the money I put in savings, and I have a little minimalist lifestyle account that I have for my own personal life. And then if I need to pull money out for business expenses or growing my mind or going to a mastermind or going to a meeting or going to a seminar or reading 20 books or whatever the case may be is, I discipline myself. I outnumber my comfort zone because I have mentors, I have friends, I have coaches, I go to speaking events. I learn to grab allies that will outnumber my comfort zone, outnumber my TV watching, outnumber my bad habits, outnumber my bad eating, to be able to help me grow my number one resource, my number one pillar of leverage, my mind. And if you don't surround yourself around that level of acumen, if you don't surround yourself with that level of accountability, that level of intelligence, that level of discipline, that level of credibility, you will always be part of the 99% who are sitting on a nail and bitching and moaning about it, but are too damn lazy to get up. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to continue to be that person repeatedly over and over and over again. So, wake up. Back up your game zone. Back him up. He needs your help. He won't be able to help you on his own because he's outnumbered. Your comfort zone's going to jump him. Bad habits are going to jump him. right? The danger zone's on their side. Like, no. You know what happens to the danger zone in the game zone? He dies. He dies. Do you know what? You know, when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your accounts, you're living a minimal lifestyle. You have assets that are going to produce you money now and assets that are going to produce money for you in the future. You're growing your mind. You're building your network. Your bills are paid years in advance if you wanted to, right? If you got into a car accident, you could pay the deductible easy. If you got a DUI, you have the law firm to help you. I mean, stuff on there is not really going to stress you out. You have a great relationship. You communicate with your wife. You go to counseling if you need to, right? You have great kids. They're a pain in the butts, but you have great communication skills. You've learned these stuff to be able to balance that round lifestyle. Where does the danger zone go? He's gone. For you, he's gone. How would you like to have the danger zone kicked, completely out of your brain? Because the danger zone is only partners with the comfort zone. He can't exist in the game zone. He can't. Because the game zone, you're just as active, if not more active than you are in the danger zone. And so you don't need them. You have people on your teeth. You're leveraging the 6 pillars correctly. You have the relationships now. You have the mental acumen now. You're leveraging the technology correctly. You're monetizing the attention the way you need to grow your brand, to grow your business. Right? The danger zone is dead. He's gone. And so I just want to go over how important it is to go over these things, right? Stop asking yourself, how am I going to do something? A lot of people want to go over a goal, and they want to say, how am I exactly going to do this? Jared, I want to make $10 million, bro. How exactly am I going to do it? What exactly do I need to do, right? Or better yet, what exactly do I need to do to lose 30 pounds? What exactly do I need to do from now until the time I lose 30 pounds? Like it's always the same. And I'm telling you to stop focusing on the what you're going to do and on the how you're going to do it. Those two are irrelevant. If you're trying to focus on the how and the what in the beginning, you'll never start. And this is another reason that was also taught in school on that you need to know exactly how to do everything that needs to be done from point A to point D to get it done. Right? That's not true. That is not true. If you think Steve Jobs knew he was going to build a multi-trillion-dollar company when he started Apple, you have delusions of grandeur. If you think Bill Gates thought for a second how big he was going to build it, you have delusions of grandeur. They built something they had an interest in, they had a passion for it, they resolved around it, and they put the people around them to outdo their comfort zone, right? But the most important thing they had is they had an obsession. They had a why. They made a why in their mind, right? What did they want to do? Why did they want to do it? Lifeaneur's why is teaching people how to master leverage and live free and duplicate that into the next generation, regardless of communication barriers. The difference between a Gen X and a millennial is the internet. That's the only difference. Everything from Gen X all the way up until the 1890s, or probably later, have all been taught the same stuff within probably 10 or 15%. Okay? The stuff that your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents learned working in Andrew Carnegie's manufacturing plant is within 10 to 15% of the stuff you learn today. Right? How much stuff do they teach you about internet today? How do they have a class teaching you how to navigate through the murky waters of your cell phone? How many of you guys use your cell phone to its full capacity? How many of you guys use your computer to its full capacity? Can you get a job today where you don't know how to use a cell phone and you don't know how to use a computer? Tell me what job you can do where you cannot use a cell phone and you cannot use a computer today. Is your smartphone a computer? Absolutely, it is, right? And so you have to develop that why, right? So find your interest, and create your why around why it's important to you. What exactly is important to you, right? My why is my legacy. My why, personally, is the next 15 years of my name and my bloodline will be taken care of. They will master leverage and they will live free. I'm going to teach my son how to make $1,000 a week doing what he loves to do. You know what he loves to do? He loves the game. He's a gamer. If you don't know where all the attention's going, people, baby, it's going into gaming. Mark my words, in 10 years from now, me and Jared are going to be on a yacht that I bought. It's going to be nice and black. It's going to be 250 feet long. And I'm still going to be living my minimalist lifestyle, but a yacht is now in that lifestyle. And we're going to be chilling, be like, bro, remember that time in podcast number 7 in Lifeaneur, we talked about this. And for 30 minutes before we talked about it, we went on a tangent. And we made this podcast 30 minutes later than we're supposed to make it. And yes, I pissed off my wife a little, right? But we talked about this, and we told him, hey, dude, do you know a 29 or a 30-year-old or younger that doesn't game? Do you know one? Because I'm the only one that I know that doesn't game. I do game, but I game differently, right? I game on my phone. I have, Ball Crusher, and I played Candy Crush a little bit and got to level like 1800. And dude, like gaming it's fun. It keeps your brain busy, right? It keeps you going. Some of these kids are absolutely phenomenally, insanely good, right? Jared is freaking amazing at gaming, and when I see him get cooked, I'm like, what the? I can't even touch Jared. Like these kids are like Super Saiyan 7. Anyway. So today's podcast is strictly about giving you the knowledge in your frontal lobe, in your frontal cortex, in your conscious mind to be able to understand that you are basically, in other words, sabotaging your future by living in the comfort of today. And that if you don't do things and you don't back up your game zone, and you don't surround yourself around people that will back up your game zone, don't get upset when I'm buying my next car from you. Don't get upset when you're going to come work for somebody who has put that team around them, who's put the game zone ahead of everything else, who's willing to read the 6 books a month and still do what they want to do, right? Don't get upset. You have no one to blame but yourself because you let your comfort zone, your bad habits, TV, the couch, the nice blanket, the fast food, the laziness outnumber the game zone, outnumber your future, outnumber your dreams, outnumber your passion, right? You didn't bring anything that to the table, which is why 97% of you guys don't write down goals. 99.9% of you guys don't even write down any goals at all and achieve any of them, right? Did you know to be part of the 1 millionth of 1% of the people in this country, all you have to do is achieve 10 goals on 1 sheet of paper? That's all you got to do. 0.00000010% will ever achieve 10 goals on 1 sheet of paper. I'm talking about read 1 book, lose 5 pounds, right? Make $5,000 more than last year. I mean, whatever it is, if you can do that, you're part of the 1 millionth of 1% of people that actually do that. Population-wide, worldwide. It's insane. I want to thank you guys for all your time. If you saw that this was valuable and gave this ultimate actionable content you can use today, then I want you to subscribe to the channel. And I want you to go even one step farther and share this podcast with somebody you think that this would give a benefit to. This is Lifeaneur. I want you to master leverage and live free. I want you to give your brain the competitive advantage it actually needs and stop subconsciously outnumbering your game zone. This is Rob Clark. And again, master leverage and live free. Thank you.